Hi Stampin' friends, it's Charlene from stampinwithcharlene.com. I want to thank those of you who joined me last night on my first ever Facebook Live tutorial where we made this really fun slider bookmark card. I am re-recording what we did last night because there were some technical difficulties in the beginning, and being the perfectionist that I am, I cannot let that live on the internet. So I am going to replace that Facebook Live with this video. It's the same exact thing, but I just re-recorded the problems where we had the technical difficulties and the lighting issues. If you're watching this for the first time, welcome. I am going to, I have posted the template for the slider bookmark on my blog at stampinwithcharlene.com. I will place the link here. So you can look down below this video and see the link, and you can see all the supplies that I used. It's a really fun card. It looks a lot more difficult than it is. So let me just go over a few things. When I'm finished making this sample for you, stay tuned because I have 3 other samples that I made, and one of them uses items from the mini catalog, which you can order from beginning August 1st. And you are gonna wanna stay tuned for the end, till the end of this video to make sure you see that sample. Okay, so I'm gonna flip the camera down and we are gonna get started. I actually made the template for this card more than 10 years ago. I saw something in church that was similar, but it was a lot bigger. And I wanted to be able to narrow it down and just make it more conforming to our cardstock sizes. So it took me all day long. I remember on a Sunday afternoon, I was sitting there just trying to figure out all the different dimensions, and I finally came up with it, and I just really loved it. And like I said, it looks a lot more difficult than it really is, but shh, don't tell that to anybody. Let them think it was difficult. Okay, so let's take our paper trimmer, and we are going to use the lighter color blade, which is the scoring blade. You are going to take a piece of designer series paper, and like I said, the dimensions for this are, and the template for this is on my blog. So you just click the PDF and you can print it out, cut it out, trace it, whatever works best from you. But this is 4 1/4 by 7 3/4. And the first thing that we're gonna do is score it at 1/4 inch with the lighter blade, like I said, and then at 2 inches. Take your bone folder and just fold down on the score lines just to make them really crisp and professional looking. Make sure when you are working on the bookmark that the 1/4 inch side is always to your right, because this is going to be the top of the bookmark. Take a ruler and place it on the 2 inch score line and make sure it's lined up straight along that score line. This might be difficult to see depending on the pattern of your designer series paper, so just be careful when you're lining it up. Take a pencil and make a tick mark at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 2 1/2 inches, 4 inches, 4 1/2 inches, and 6 inches. So between each bookmark, this spacing here is 1 1/2 inches. And we're just gonna ignore this little part in here. So once again, it's at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 4 inches, 4 1/2 inches, and 6 inches. Make a little tick mark with your pencil. For this slider bookmark, we are going to be using the Stitched Shapes Framelits dies, and we're going to use the smallest circle. I love these because of the dimension that they have on there. I like it a lot better than just our regular circle dies because it gives this little stitched imprint into each thing that you punch out. And so we're gonna use the smallest one and then the next size, and then we're also gonna use the smallest square die. So you'll wanna take these out. Now getting back to the designer series paper, what you want to do is take the small circle die and place that in between the 1/2 inch mark and the 2 inch mark, and you want to center it in between the lines that you drew and in between both of the score lines, the 1/4 inch score line and the 2 inch score line. So just center that in there as best as you can and run it through your die cut machine. And you want to do this in each of the 3 sections. The piece that comes out, first let's look at the little, if you can see the little stitched part. And you're gonna have 3 of these, and you can just set them aside and use them on another project. We are not gonna use them on the slider bookmark today. Then go down to the next. This is gonna start at 2.5 inches to 4 inches and center your circle in between there. Looks like right about there is center. And like I said, you can always print out the template that I have on my blog, and you can use a circle punch if you want to. And then go down to the 4.5 and 6 inch, center the circle, and this is the last time we're going to do this on this piece, and just die cut it through. And this is what you will be left with. The next thing you're going to want to do is take your small circle, and you are going to die cut out 3 small circles from Whisper White cardstock. So you're going to be left with 3 of these small circles, and we're going to set those aside. Now you'll notice on my sample that each of the circles has this really pretty old olive frame around it. And then if you look at the inside of the bookmark, each circle has a just jade frame around it. So let me show you how we make those. So now I'm working with a piece of old olive cardstock, and to make the frame, you're going to take the second largest circle die, put that down, and then take the smallest one and center it in the middle of that circle die. Just like that, and we are going to cut this out, and we're going to make 3 of these. So here is the first one. And this is what you will come out with. This is the little frame that we just cut. So you're going to do this 3 times with old olive. So you'll have 3 old olive frames, and then you want to do it again with the just jade, and you'll have 3 just jade frames. Now take a small sentiment. I'm using the Hello from the Timeless Tropical Stamp Set, but you want a sentiment that is going to fit in this small square. And the Hello fits in there perfectly, but there are other stamp sets. I'm sure you have one that has a small sentiment, and you're gonna stamp that with Memento ink, the black Memento ink, which is what we're using, the only ink that we're using. Then you're gonna take your small square, and we are going to cut that out. If you don't have a die cut machine, don't despair. On September 1st, you will be able to order the new die cut machine from Stampin' Up, and it's really great because this end and this end fold up, so it's really easy for storage. I love it. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. So this is our sentiment, which we cut out, and you'll see how pretty it is with the stitching around it. So we're gonna set that aside. For the bookmark itself, you want to cut a piece of cardstock 1 7/8 inches by 8.5 inches. And I used old olive, and then you're going to take the scalloped tag punch, and I like to use my punches upside down so that I know everything is centered. And we're going to place this in here and punch, make sure it's centered, and just punch the top, and that's going to give us our nice scalloped edge bookmark. Now before we stamp, we're going to start gluing everything together, and I like to use the multi-purpose glue. If you don't have this, get some now. It is fabulous. The key to this is to not use a lot of it. And the other thing too is I'm going to be using the fine tip. You want to make sure that you store it with the tip down so that the glue gathers at the end that you're going to use it. So I'm going to flip this over, and then on the inside of the 1/4 inch score line. I'm just going to put way too much. Okay, it's just a teeny bit. But I'm gonna make sure I go up all the way so that the whole thing sticks down. And I'm going to make sure that I line it up. It won't be completely flat when you do that, and that's good because that means that the bookmark will be able to slide in and out a lot easier. If you'll notice, when you line it up, there's going to be this little, you can see that little gap like that, and that is what you want. So just pinch it together, and if you want to, you can use some little clips, paper clips, to hold it together, but just line it up like that along the edge, and you want to make sure that it'll naturally have that little bulge in the paper. Let's look again at the sample, and you'll see that the small circles that we cut out are exactly in the middle of the holes in the bookmark. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Take your bookmark that you cut and slide it inside. And make sure it's lined up at the bottom, okay? Make sure it's lined up there. And then just take the circle, take each circle, put a tiny bit of the mono adhesive, or the multi-purpose glue, and then you just wanna place it inside the circle that's cut out on the designer series paper. And then you'll see that it's in the perfect place. And make sure you keep it lined up at the bottom so that each one is in the correct place. So we're going to do that with all 3 circles. And it takes about a second maybe, well no, let's say maybe 15-20 seconds for the multi-purpose glue to adhere. Okay, so that's how you do that. See, I told you it was a lot easier than it looks. Now we're going to take our 3 old olive frames that we cut, and we're going to put a tiny bit of the multi-purpose glue around each frame, and we are going to adhere it to the outside of each circle on the designer series paper, like that. See how it's coming together so nicely? Okay, so we're going to do all 3 of those. And I use the old olive. This is the Forever Greenery Designer Series paper, which has some beautiful coordinating colors. Just Jade, Soft Seafoam, Garden Green, Old Olive, Whisper White, and Sage Shadow. Okay, and here's the last one. So we're gonna put that down there. So we are getting there. You guys are doing great. So now let's put the frames on the inside. So you'll notice that each white circle has a frame around it. This is the sample. This is the sample of the inside. Let me stick that up there so we don't get confused. So now I'm gonna take the Just Jade, the 3 Just Jade circles, and I'm gonna do the same thing and teeny bit. If you get too much, like I just did there, just take the tip and kind of work it around. And I'm gonna adhere that to the center. I always have to remember that I need to stay in the frame when I'm filming these. And this here in the center, I got some whoopsie on there, but that's okay because we're gonna cover that up with a flower. And then the last one. Just like that. So now we have our bookmark with the 3 frames around, or outside of the bookmark, and then we have the inside. And we're gonna put that in there just like that. And make sure that it's, just keep using your finger to make sure that the bookmark is at the bottom of the cover. Now comes the fun part where we're gonna stamp, and I'm gonna show you this great little tip. This is the E-size clear block, and what I did was, I put, look, you'll see, I'm using the Basket of Blooms stamp set. And you'll see that I needed on my card, I need a few of each, a couple of flowers and a couple of the leaves. So instead of taking each different image, putting it on a clear block, stamping it a couple of times, what I did was I just assembled I put all the stamps onto one clear block. This is the E block. And I took I'm using thick Whisper White cardstock for this because we're going to use Stampin' blends, and thick Whisper White cardstock absorbs the alcohol ink much better than the regular Whisper White cardstock. And then I'm just going to use my Memento ink, and it's just so much easier to just do all of the images at one time. And just stamp that on there. It's also easier to color them in while they're on one piece of cardstock instead of having to keep track of each tiny little piece of paper. That would be 1, 2, 4, 6, 7. That would be 14 different little pieces of paper that I would have had to stamp to get 2 of each image, and it's just so much easier to do it this way. And then we are going to take the longer vase and also a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock, and we're going to stamp the vase on there, like that. These are the Stampin' blends I used to color in the images. I used Soft Suede for the vase, and then I used So Saffron for the center of the flowers. I used Old Olive for the leaves, and then I alternated and I made one each of the large and small flower with Bermuda Bay, and one each of the large and small flower with Shaded Spruce. And these are all the light in the Stampin' blends. So you're gonna color all those in, and then after, and I am not an artist by any means. Stampin' blends are meant to blend, and I didn't get the artistic gene. So I don't really blend. I just use one color, and I still think that they look beautiful. So then I'm gonna use my paper snips, and I am going to fussy cut the leaves, which magically I just did here. Let me see. So now is when your own creativity comes in to play. Let's take the bookmark out and let's put the sentiment at the bottom. Just like that. And then now just replace the bookmark, and this is where your creativity comes in. You just go crazy and decorate it any way you want. There is no right or wrong, but I do have a couple of tips for you. Number one is make sure you only put the glue at the bottom of the vase, because if you put it at the top, it's gonna stick to the bookmark, and then you won't be able to slide the bookmark in and out. And it's also kind of fun, it gives it a 3-dimension look when this sticks up. And then the other trick I wanna show you is with this larger set of leaves, I'm only gonna put the glue at the bottom here, a tiny, tiny bit, and then on the back side, I'm only gonna put it on the top. And I'm gonna make sure that I place it so that the bottom sticks to the vase, not the bookmark, and the top sticks to the outside, the cover of the bookmark, not the bookmark at all. And if you'll notice, see how it sticks up like that? So let me just go back to my sample, and I'm gonna show you how I decorated mine, and then you can decorate it any way you want to. So I put the larger flower here, and then this is the smaller set of leaves that I put here, and I only glued down the stem to the back of the flower. And then this long narrow piece, I adhered to the back of the flower and to the card. A little flower here, one here, one here, and then on the inside, I used up what was left. I may have stamped a couple of extra larger flowers and punched them out. And then I took, you can't really see it on here, but I took the Flowers for Every Season gems, and I used my multi-purpose glue and put a little bit on the back of each of the gems. I used the white, but I really wish I would have used the green. And if you'll notice, I put the gem in the center of the flowers, but only the flowers that are on the cover. If you put them on the flowers in the bookmark, it'll get stuck and you won't be able to slide the bookmark in and out. And then I topped it off with ribbon from the Forever Greenery ribbon combo pack. And that is all there is to it. So I promised you at the beginning that I would show you some more samples. This is another sample I made using the Basket of Blooms set and the Small Bloom Punch, but you'll notice on this one I didn't use Designer Series paper. I used just our cardstock, and these are the in colors that I used, the new in colors. So there's that one, and it's supposed to give you the illusion that the plant is growing up the vine, and then when you pull it out, it's like the plant is growing, like that. Okay, so there's that one. And then on this one, I used our Balloon Duo Punch. I didn't even use any stamp sets at all, and except on the inside for the sentiment. But on the outside, these are just the balloons, and this is the 6x6 Designer Series paper playing with patterns. And you'll want to know, well, if it needs to be 7 3/4 and this is only 6x6, how in the world did you extend this down? I think that's going to call for another tutorial, so stay tuned for that one. And I'm going to show you how I did that. But you'll see I just punched out the balloons, and I used the Playing with Patterns resin dots to decorate the balloons, and some of the Playing with Patterns ribbon combo pack. And then look closely, because on this one I didn't use the circle dies. I used the small square die and the next size larger square die, and that's supposed to give you the illusion that the balloons are floating up into the air. And now, drum roll please, my favorite, using a stamp set from the upcoming mini catalog, which you can order from beginning August 1st. That's only in 2 weeks. It's already July 15th. Can you believe it? Okay, are you ready? Close your eyes and now open your eyes. I used the gorgeous new Poinsettia Petals stamp set for this card, and I absolutely love it. This is the same ribbon. It's the same Designer Series paper, the Forever Greenery Designer Series paper, but I decorated it with the poinsettias, and I want you to look at this embellishment. This is also in the new mini catalog. These are the beaded pearls embellishment, and just look at how gorgeous. When I saw these, I just wanted to make earrings out of them, and I still might figure out a way. Leave it to me and I'll be back here with how to make the earrings. But if you just look at this, I absolutely love it. So thank you so much for watching. I think we might have to revisit this template and make some more cards, so stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to be able to do YouTube lives, and I cannot do that until I get 1,000 YouTube subscribers. So please subscribe. Thanks for following along. Look below here and you will see all of the supplies that I used to make this bookmark, and stay tuned for more tutorials. Also follow me on Facebook at Stamping with Charlene. I'll put the link to that here too. So we can do some more lives, and I will see you later. Thanks for watching.